Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Straight Talk for the Soul series. I'm Carrie Murphy, your host, creator, and founder of this global broadcast and amazing community. I want to extend a bright and a very beautiful good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you tuning in from around the world. What's the best that could happen today? That is the question. What is the absolute best that could happen? With me and with my beautiful soul sister and co-creative partner for today, Lorie is back. She's an Ascension guide. She's a multi-dimensional channel. We are devoting today's show to the topic of quite a few things actually, but easing your intensity or uncertainty regarding your struggles as you navigate this ascension journey by reconnecting you with the knowledge of why you're here, what's really going on, plus your star families and guides that are here to assist and support you, as well as the blueprint as a light worker on this planet at this time. We're going to talk about a lot of that. So if you feel a strong desire to get some relief with all that's going on right now, plus identify your star family, learn about the history of these beings in Earth's ascension, you're in the perfect place at the perfect divinely designed time. It is certain to be another empowering and enlightening show. So I want to thank you for being here. And if you haven't subscribed to this show yet, please do so. It is a free platform that you can access at straighttalkforthesoul.com. You can also listen to all of our replays on iTunes and YouTube, and you can connect with us further in our Facebook group or on Instagram. To find us anywhere, just enter in Straight Talk for the Soul. And thank you for walking with me hand in hand and heart to heart on this adventure of ascension. I'm continually amazed at the power of community and the power of us coming together, the power of kindness and authenticity and support and connection and sharing and caring and openness, and just all of us coming together with loving intentions. We create a really powerful portal, a healing portal, an expansive portal, so that some shifts can begin to take place within us and around us. So we're going to feel some relief and some expansion today with Lorie. So again, I'm grateful that you're here. Let me tell you a little bit more about her and we will dive in. Lorie is an Ascension guide. She's a multi-dimensional channel. She reconnects you to your Galactic Guides and your star family and assists in the remembrance of who you are and why you're here. She provides tools and guidance in moving you forward on your evolutionary path, awakening you to your multi-dimensionality. Lorie takes the complexity of ascension, and one of her amazing gifts is she grounds it into very simple and easily digestible concepts. She bridges the gap between you and your Galactic Star family, translating their light language into human language and providing a deeper understanding of your purpose and your path. Today, Lorie is dedicating her life to assisting humanity in this planetary shift, and her greatest prayer is that you remember who you are, remember why you're here, and remember all of the beings of light that are supporting you. She's honored to be walking side by side with all of you, and I'm so grateful she's back. So please join me in opening your hearts and extending waves and waves of love and light and so much joy to Lorie as I welcome her back to the show. Welcome back, beautiful. I miss you. I love you.
Oh, I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. I was like, I'm not going to get too mushy because, the audience is going to say, oh, Lord, here they go. But
here they go again.
Absolutely. I just have to I love you. I'm so grateful to be on today, right now, especially with what's going on energetically. And, as you were talking, I started tearing up. And it wasn't like sad tears. It was just like, I can tap into the collective of us on the call right now and just all of us that are consciously moving through this so bravely and courageously. And, there are these up and downs where we're super excited and things are great, and then we just fall into this despair of like, what is going on? Can I keep doing this? And the tears that I was feeling was from these beings that are supporting us, and how much they love us and how much they want us to really just settle in today in this call, drop everything, Don't worry about what's happening later in your day, what's happening tomorrow, what happened earlier. Can you take this moment right now with them and to just drop, because they want to be with you. They know you can't see them. They know you can't feel them. You know, they know that you maybe not be able to hear them, but they are here right now surrounding us with so much love and support. And can we just open to that as we talk, and just allow ourselves to receive, you know, through our words and our expression and our speaking and everything.
I feel it. I have chills all over. And as we mentioned before we went live, I mean, when we come together, as you mentioned, in a big group like this, there's a galactic gang that is here to play and participate, right?
I mean, you have to understand, I say this a lot, but, you know, just as much as we want to connect with them, they are begging to connect with us. It's the same vibration. It's the same urgency. It's the same desires, because they are us. We are them. We've designed this with them at this time, right? So they're just as excited to be able to tap into us just a tiny bit, right? And so they use these collective moments, because as human beings, even though we're all over the world right now, in a quantum field, we're all connected. And so that connection creates the thinning of a veil where we can begin to feel a little bit easier these really high dimensional beings that in our everyday waking life can be very challenging to tap into.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I really want to honor everyone who participates on a show like this or on a call like this, because I feel like from the higher realms, and you know this very well, Lorie, that, you know, they see us as so courageous and doing so well. And so what we're here to remind everyone today is, you know, let's be easy on ourselves. You know, there are a lot of waves of experience going on for many. And so, Lorie, I want to talk to you about, I know you received a message, a divine message from your guides, and I believe it was just yesterday or the day before or something, explaining a lot of the intensity that people may be feeling right now with regard to, you know, the traditional ups and downs of the Ascension journey, but maybe a little more intensity right now. So what did you learn? What did they share with you?
Yeah, I think it's so awesome that we're coming together today. I didn't realize it until we were talking. I was like, oh, it's so perfect. It's today. So I'm always very conscious, as I'm sure many of us on the call and on the replay are, of kind of the energies that we're always moving through. One day we feel really happy, aligned, connected. The next we're like, oh, my God, I feel like crap. And, you know, whatever it is that we're going through, up and down, up and down. We're used to the up and down. But yesterday I started tapping into a much more intense sort of experience, and meaning more palpable, and it just felt like I could almost feel the pulse of the light that was coming in. And I got so exhausted, I laid down on my couch and I literally passed out for 3 hours and I couldn't move. You know that lethargic feeling where you can't move your body?
Mm-hmm. I do.
And when I got up, I just received this message, and it was like, and when the beings talk to me, when my guides talk to me, they tell me to share it. It's like, you got to share this. You got to share this now. This has to be shared. They need to know. And the message is that, and what's happening, it's like so there's an intensity. Light's always coming down, right, from the sun, not the physical sunlight. Energetic pulses of light that are, which is the ascension process, which is how we are shifting energetically. And they're always moving through us, right? But what happens at certain times is that there is a pulse that comes out from the sun that has a more intense vibratory rate to the light. And again, it's not the physical light from the sun. It's not like you can it's not the sunlight that you feel on your face. It's a higher frequency light that you can't see or feel. Mm-hmm. And what happens is that there are these pulses that sort of, you can imagine that, like, you know, these galactic beings push a little green button and then boom, this pulse of light goes out, right? And this pulse of light can last a day, 2 days, 3 days. They try not to make it last too long because it's a pretty intense pulse. But this most recent kind of pulse, the light is vibrating much faster. It's at a much higher dimensional rate and speed. And when that comes into the human form, it really stirs up a lot of the density that's in the physical form and in the emotional form and in the mental form, the subtle bodies. And what's happening with a lot of us right now, we've been moving through the emotional body, we've been moving through the mental body, right? We understand that pretty well, meaning we know when the emotions come up, what we're supposed to do. We know when the thoughts and beliefs come up. We know how to kind of navigate them. We might not enjoy it, but we know how to kind of navigate those. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we ride the wave. But the physical form is what is being impacted right now. And that's where we beat ourselves up a lot because, well, we beat ourselves up over all of it, but the physical form, the reason these intense pulses are coming at such a high rate right now is because you have to imagine that the physical aspect of us is the densest aspect of us. So the light inside of us is shifting. The light inside the etheric body is already at a very high frequency. The light inside the emotional and mental bodies is starting to spin and get higher. But the physical form is what needs to bring us into the next dimensional field, right, in order to anchor us there. And in order for the physical form to sort of catch up, so to speak, with the other lights inside of us that are already kind of moving, right, our consciousness can tap into the fourth, our consciousness can tap into the fifth, our physical bodies can't yet. And so these big pulses that come in are designed to affect the physicality of the body. And so the physical body is learning how to navigate, assimilate, and acclimate to these intense pulses. And so the emotional stuff's going to come up and the mental stuff, but it is the physical body. That's the purpose of these pulses right now. And exactly. It goes deep into the cells and into the DNA, right? And that's how we start shifting into more of a, what the human calls crystalline aspects of us. But it has to come through the physical body. And so that's why we're receiving these intense pulses, but they're only for a short amount of time because we wouldn't be able to function if it was, nonstop. And so, we're always going up and down. And so the message was, you're not these experiences. You're not lazy. You're not, an agitated person and a frustrated person, an irritable person. You're not any of that. You're just experiencing the process of your physical form shifting into another dimensional field, which, by the way, you agreed to do, and you remember, you just forgot. So one of the main reasons most of us are here, there's like a platform of reasons why we dropped back down again. And for all of us on the call and on the replay, one of the reasons was to finally be able to experience the actual physical process of shifting consciousness, because all of you are light workers, and a huge amount of you have been light workers for thousands of years. And if it wasn't for all of you light workers coming back onto the earth plane over and over again to assist the earth and humanity and bringing her and humanity to the vibration that she's at now, we wouldn't be able to be doing this. So there's
so yay us.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, hallelujah. We forget who we are. We forget all the work we've done, because all we can see is the third dimensional field that we're in. It's like a box, right? And so we can't remember all the work that we've done and the commitment we've made and the fact that so many of us are here to be able to experience this. And yes, it doesn't make it easier. It doesn't make it more fun at times, when you're going through physical ailments, disease, discomforts, emotional discomforts, right? It's not, in this field that we're in, third dimension, it's not, there's duality. So there's judgments that we place on all of these experiences. But from the bigger perspective, it is the choice we made to come down to actually experience the physical shifting of consciousness. And by the way, a side note, consciousness typically doesn't shift in physical form, meaning if you were a 9th dimensional consciousness and you wanted to experience a 13th dimensional consciousness, you would literally instantaneously just move into that 13th dimensional consciousness. You wouldn't take your 9th dimensional form and move that 9th dimensional form into a 13th dimensional consciousness. You would just leave the consciousness you were in and go and experience the other consciousness you wanted to experience. So this experiment that we're doing right now has never been done in this low of a density. It's never been done before. It's an experiment. That's why people call Earth an experiment, because it's high frequency light beams, like all of us, dropping into a dense physical form. The sole purpose of seeing if we can shift our consciousness inside that physical form from a low density to a somewhat higher density, meaning dimension. Mm-hmm. It's crazy.
It's beautiful. And sometimes it doesn't feel so beautiful, but the reason that we're highlighting this is we really want to support people, all of these beautiful beings listening and having a greater understanding of what's going on, in addition to releasing the judgment that you're talking about and replacing that with divine compassion for ourselves and anything we may be going through, which might be heightened sensitivity or the desire for more sleep or any physical ailment your body, your physical form is doing its best to anchor and acclimate to this light. And so that's why, we all have to lighten up with ourselves rather than judging ourselves when we go through some of this stuff. Like you said, we're not lazy. If you need to lay down and sleep for 3 hours, or the last 2 nights, I was surprised, last 2 or 3 nights, Lorie, I went to bed at 9:30, which I normally stay up till midnight or something, and I went to sleep so early. And so I know what you're talking about. So, and I think a lot of people can relate to that, and maybe not just the sleep, but just a lot of the sensitivity, like you said, maybe just outburst, emotional outburst, or physical, just a lot of these things. So I'm glad this is coming up. I think it's really important for all of us to hear and feel supported. So let's shift into how much support we have with these light beings, these star beings. I know so many people are excited to hear about their star heritage, their star families, and how much support we really have with all of this. And so I want to, for those who might be new to you, and I think if anyone who's listened to the show, you've been on so many times and they may know you, but just share, your connection to these star beings and what your role is, or what you feel your role is in bringing these messages through to all of us.
Yeah. So when I started doing my work, I was working with the Lemurians in the beginning, and I was connected to the Lemurians, and I would guide people into the 5th dimensional city and portal within Mount Shasta, where that 5th dimensional energy is stored, and that's kind of how I got started, and that's, that was what I thought I was doing. And it was from that place within that portal, taking people into these higher dimensional realms, that I started connecting with these light beings. And they started coming into the session. And I was like, wait a second, this is not Lemurian energy. What is this?
Right.
These are, and then I would tap into the energy because I didn't know what it was. And it started to become apparent. They would tell me they were the Palladians or the Syrians or the Arcturians or the Lyrans or Cassiopeia or whatever it was, right? And they kept showing up. They kept showing up. They kept showing up. And so I started becoming aware of all of the different dimensional light beings, galactic beings, star beings that are around us. And as they started coming into these sessions, they started sharing these clients' stories, who they are, how long they've been here, where they came from. And I started to get a real clear picture of what's going on, and a real clear picture of the different unique qualities and aspects of all of the different light beings that are here with us, supporting us, and that we are connected to. And so now, basically, I have this clear kind of connection, and I've been doing so many sessions now with these light beings that I feel like they're my family. I know them so well energetically. Mm-hmm. That I can really pull in the conversation, the communication, the translation that they have, and
pretty rapidly. It's come more and more rapidly over time with you, and it's amazing because I can tell even in the tone of your voice over the years. I mean, there is such power and strength in the support that's coming through you, and it's pretty evident. And and it's really been fascinating to watch, the focus with the Lemurians, and then it just expanding to this galactic support and really helping people remember their galactic heritage, how to connect with their star family, and discovering what star family they came from and all of that. What is your take on that now? I mean, as your experience has expanded with this, do you feel that everyone comes from one star family or multiple, or what's your take on that now?
It's so complex because it's very simple, but it's also pretty complex because we've been at this game for quite some time. So there's some kind of like key players, that originally sort of began the human body, the human physical form, and incarnating down. And the key players that have been around really playing in this field with Earth for so long are, of course, the ones that we're really familiar with, like the Sirians, the Palladians, the Octurians, the Lyrians. But it's very possible that you could. So here's the thing that's really important to understand is Earth is an experiment. So any being that's in a physical form or in a tree or in a bird or in a plant or whatever is a higher consciousness that's experimenting the lower consciousness field. So every consciousness inside physical form is from a different consciousness, right? So whether it's a star system, whether it's an angelic realm, whether it's some collective that the human mind doesn't even know exists yet, we all are playing down in this field. So we all came from somewhere else. It's just a matter of where. What is that? And for millions of us, we came from the galactic realm, and in that galactic realm, there's some hybridizations that have happened, right? There's some races that have been designed and created just in the Earth experiment. So there's many that can have kind of a hybrid collective group of beings sort of in their consciousness when they dropped in. My experience with most of my sessions is that most of them are from a collective within one large collective system. So a Palladian system, these systems are so large we can't comprehend it. And so there's all these collectives kind of within that big, large collective. But I have had sessions with clients that have a group of star beings or galactic beings that they are connected to. So usually around 3 is the max that come in. And so typically when 3 come in, it kind of means that they are either, really close with these other galactic systems, or these 3 systems are an aspect of their consciousness. Right. And, in the bigger, and we're so much more than this in a quantum field. I mean, we're experiencing ourselves in many different places and many different dimensions. But for the Earth plane right now, what matters is kind of remembering the most recent kind of experience you had in consciousness, which is where you most recently dropped in from for this experiment, for this consciousness, for this reality. And the reason I think it's important that people are remembering this is not just so they can remember, but it's designed to assist us in remembering how to do this and how to shift with more ease and how to shift with more grace and more love and more compassion, and not feel so alone even in the midst of all the humans that we're surrounded by. There's something comforting in starting to remember that we're not doing this alone from a higher perspective. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, I absolutely know what you mean. And I think people feel more connected in a group like this or in a community like this because we're all speaking the same language, and we're talking about Ascension, and we're talking about Ascension symptoms and all of these things, whereas they may be in their own environment with their own families or coworkers or whatever, and that's not what they talk about, and that's not normal to them. So, for us to remind people that they have this community and communities like this to feel at home and supported, as well as these non-physical beings that are here to support us, is huge, so that we don't feel like we're all by ourselves, like, what the heck is going on here? So, and
or crazy.
Or crazy, all of that. And, we're going to talk about your offer a little bit later, but for those of you who've written in and you feel connected to the Sirians or the Arcturians or the Cassiopeia star system or the Palladians or the Blue Avians or you want to, any of those, there's all of that, and Lorie kind of takes you through it. It's kind of like having a personal session, but you're able to pick which one you want or all of them, and there's a guided journey to meet your star family and a star activation chamber session. Is that into Telos? Is that what that is?
That goes into, there's two of them. There's two of them that I guide us into Telos, and then the other 5 are not in Telos. These beings actually come into the space with us. But the star activation, you go in, and then the journey to meet your star family, you actually go in.
Well, and I'm so grateful, that you did this. And go ahead, sweetie.
Well, I was going to say the reason they take us in order to meet the star families or your guides, galactic guides. It could be ascended masters. It could be the angelic realm. It could be dragons. But when we move ourselves into that space and into Telos, then you're moving into a 5th dimensional field of energy, and so it's easier to access the energy.
Yes, and people need to feel this connection because so many people have written in, how can I do that? How can I feel more connected to my star family? And if you do these recordings on your own, and, I've had multiple sessions with you, Lorie, and others in this kind of thing, but I'm going to do them myself because it takes me back to that connection to gain whatever support or knowledge or wisdom or gifts that are intended to be activated now, and it's always different and it's always new. And so it's kind of like having a session with you, but they're able to do that in their own time and as often as they want. And so I'm really grateful that we're doing it this way this time. So because like Brittany wrote in and kind of asked that, how can I feel more connected to them? Because I feel so disconnected lately and confused about directions to take in my life. And I want a restored sense of faith and trust in this whole process. And we all feel that way sometimes, right? Oh my gosh, Brittany.
Oh my God, yeah.
What do you say to Brittany though? What do you tell her?
It's such an important question. And a very common and normal question, because what we are learning to do right now, forget about the ascension process. I mean, learning how to navigate that, but learning how to remember and navigate and connect with higher consciousness beings is like standing in front of the most challenging language you've ever heard a person speak, right? So you're standing in front of a person speaking a completely foreign language, and you don't have a book. You have no book that's going to tell you how to translate. And you two have to learn how to communicate, right? It almost seems impossible. It's very similar to what's happening with the galactics and with any other higher dimensional being that we are beginning to tap into and access. It's a leap that is they are in a dimension that is very challenging for us to tap into. And so first and foremost, we have the biggest thing they always say to me and to the clients that I have, and just in my messages as a general, is if you can start to hold the knowingness, first and foremost, the knowingness that they are with you no matter what, even shifting your consciousness and just holding that knowingness expands you. Because what typically happens is we walk around feeling disconnected. We walk around frustrated with ourselves that we can't hear. We walk around frustrated that we don't have guidance, right? So we're in that sort of consciousness of, I can't, I'm not, I won't, and it feels very real because that's what you're experiencing, but it's not real. You're actually completely aligned and connected to these beings. You just can't see it, feel it, or hear it right now for whatever reason. But you are absolutely, they are knocking on the door, the dimensional door with you. You're knocking and they're knocking, right? So you are not alone, even in the moments where it's like, I hear nothing, I feel nothing, I see nothing. So first and foremost, can you begin and as often as possible, and this seems very redundant and almost ridiculous, but this is how you start to do this. You have to take very tiny baby steps, okay? And if you can start every day by reminding yourself that you're not alone, that reminding yourself that you are aligned and connected with these beings, even if you can't see, feel, or hear them. And even if you don't know who these beings are, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you start to remember that you already know that you are designed to begin to wake up and connect with them right now. Put sticky notes somewhere. Put a sticky note on your car. Put a sticky note in your wallet. I am guided by light beings, or I have my star family is supporting me. Whatever you need to remind yourself, because what happens is when we're in this matrix, we get caught up in it and we numb out, and then we kind of forget the bigger picture. So we have to remind ourselves all the time. That's the first piece. The second piece
I'm not alone. I'm not alone. I'm not alone.
Even if you put like on your kitchen, your fridge, I'm not alone. I'm not alone. I'm not alone. I'm not alone.
I'm supported. I'm supported. Yes.
Yeah, it has the power of shifting your reality. And then what you start to realize is you start to understand the power of your imagination. So with these beings, you have to start to, when I started really working with them in my own life, I would literally visualize a Palladian sitting in my car, right? And I would visualize what would it look like? And I would call a Palladian in and I'd be like, I want you to sit in my car and I'm going to try to have a dialogue with you. You have to be willing to understand that if you don't access your imagination imagination is the key to your multi-dimensionality. It is the key to accessing higher dimensional frequencies. It's a huge key for us. And yet we have been programmed to believe that the imagination is false and not real, and it's you making it up. And it's been such a disservice because it's actually a major key player in moving into these higher dimensional frequencies with these beings. For instance, if you're walking down the street saying to yourself, okay, I don't know who my star family is, but I know my star family is connected to me. I know I'm connected to them. I want to feel you guys walking down the street with me, or I want to visualize you guys walking down the street with me, right? Or down a path with me, or in my car with me. You have to start to play in the realms of these higher dimensions. You have to start to invite it in. You have to just play with it. And the more you can consciously do that, the more you will begin to, again, open and expand yourself to what's around. It seems like we have to have this playbook of okay, first you do this and then you do this and then you do this, and there's these ways of doing it, and I've got to open up all these energy centers, and we're already energetically connected to them. We were designed that way. The human form is designed to be aligned and connected to these beings. It's just that we're in a very dense field right now that makes it almost impossible to break through and to connect, right? And so feeling them is really, really important if the human can feel them, which is why I did the recording. Because when you sit in the recording, you will feel these beings, and they are not a normal energy, right? You will feel the beings, and you will feel the difference between them. That's the other awesome part about these recordings, is you get to feel the Palladian energy, and then you get to feel a Sirian energy. And you don't have to be a channel.
Very unique.
Yeah.
Right.
And you're like, oh, my God, it's a very unique energy. Listen, I am no different than anyone else on this call. I'm an energetic being, and everyone else is an energetic being. I feel energy. Everyone else feels energy. I just was, for whatever reason, dropped into this human form to be able to access it easier. But every single human being has the ability to navigate and access these energies. So it's just a matter of starting to open and not having the expectation, right? There's an expectation that we have, and we get really beat up, and we expect it to be a certain way, right? And, you know, when I communicate with these beings, which is just a constant kind of flow, it's very much like, first of all, I have absolutely no idea if it's real or not, right? I can't prove it to anyone. I have no proof. I can't physically bring them in and say, here they are. So I make a choice. And my choice is I either believe this or I don't. So we have to also make choices on what we want to believe, because you're never, right now, very few of us are going to have proof. Meaning a physical Palladian or a physical Sirian or a physical anything is going to drop into your living room and say, hey, I'm right here.
Oh, absolutely. That is such a great point. That is such a great point. Do it because it feels good, and do it because it's kind of like your soul will resonate and say, yes.
Yeah.
And that's
do it
that's
because
the
you
proof.
know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because the other thing is that, you know, it's not a connection where it's like I hear it's a Sirian that's coming in, and it's like I am a Sirian and I'm now communicating with you and this is what I want. It doesn't sound like that for me. It's my own voice. So it can feel very confusing, because it's like, well, this just sounds like my own voice. How do I know that this isn't me? How do I know it's not my higher self? It's energy, right? So your higher self is energy, your ego is energy, these beings are energy. It's all energy filtering through you. So you have to lighten up and give yourself some credit. You're trying to learn how to navigate different energies. And because it's filtered through you, right, through your physical form and through your ego and through your voice and through your eyes and through your sounds and through your movement, it's going to feel like you sometimes, right? Many of us are not necessarily here to do channel work as a light worker, right? So if you're not designed to be a channeler as your light work, then it's going to feel very sort of natural the way it unravels, right? And even I'm a channeler. I'm designed to be down here to channel these beings and translate them. And it's a very natural, it feels like my own voice. I'm in the shower and I'm talking and I'm, you know, and it sounds like me talking to myself. And I try to put myself in the shoes of a normal, like, everyday person that doesn't have the confidence. And I try to imagine what it must be like. And you think you're crazy or that you're making it up. You think that it's you speaking to you. And all I can say is it's not. It's not. Many times these beings will tell these clients, we've been talking to you, we've been communicating, but because the energy moves through your channel, it moves through your physical body, it's going to be translated through you, right? And so it's going to sound like your own voice. So we have to start to get, it's like there's no other voice in you, right? There's no other like voice in your head is what I mean, right? And even if you were to speak it out loud, usually it's going to sound like you talking to you and you're going to sound crazy. So this is not easy, okay? But it's also not hard. It's almost like there's these misconceptions about how this all works, and we're designed to be able to do this. We really actually all are designed to be able to do this. And if you're on this call and if you're listening to the replay and if you follow Carrie's show and all the other shows that are out there and all this whole community, you will at some point be able to trust yourself enough that what you are hearing, feeling, and receiving isn't just your own voice. You know, and what happens is that it'll drop in every once in a while. It kind of drops in, and then 3 weeks later something will drop in, meaning a voice or a feeling. Or an instinct.
This is not for the faint of heart. I mean, I think that light workers, I mean, it really requires a lot of courage and a lot of self-cultivated trust, because I don't feel that everyone, and I know you feel the same way, Lorie, I don't know that everyone was designed to be in this conscious ascension journey on, in this lifetime. And that's why so many of you who've written in who have, in your own environments, even your own families, they have no idea what we're talking about here, and it would never even occur to them to want to discuss these things. And it's okay. And that's why we have these communities. A lot of people, let's see, let me just read one. Okay, Diane. Diane says, hi, Carrie and Lorie. I just love you both so much, and to have you both together is always magic. Thank you, Diane. We love our magical connection and love all of you with us. She said, I've known for a long time that I'm from another source and I'm in love with myself and life. The thing that's missing for me is I'm looking for my tribe. I don't have friends or family who believe the same things I do and would love some direction in how to find and connect with like-minded people in my area. Any suggestions on this? Well, Lorie, I know you and I feel so many of my connections they're not right here in my community or they're next door. Like Lorie and I are across the country from each other, but I feel more connected to her than, my own physical family. And that's kind of how it is. And these communities are intended to bring you together as well. That's why we have these Facebook groups and things for you guys to connect with one another. But what do you want to say about that, Lorie?
It's part of the journey, unfortunately. These questions are so common. So many people want to feel connected to others that are going through the same thing, because then you don't feel so alone. And, to be completely honest, which I'm sure you guys are all aware of, it's a very small percentage of humans right now that are active, that are actually consciously waking up and shifting. And so most of us don't have kind of physical communities yet to go to. My recommendation, this just popped into my head. It was a Diane.
Yes.
That was asking. Diane, this is just something that popped in. But, there are a lot, especially on your show, Carrie, and just kind of with the spider webs that go out from the speakers from this show, you can connect to other kind of speakers and teachers. But going to retreats, going to workshops, recognizing that it's not necessarily going to be right in your community right now. There will be a time where it will be, but we are the way showers, whether you want to kind of accept that or not, regardless of what work you're doing. If you're on this show listening, if you're participating in the Ascension, you're a way shower, which means that you are on the forefront of shifting dimensions. And there are very few humans in the collective of all humanity that are doing that. And so it's very lonely, right? There's just not a lot of others that are doing it. So reaching out beyond your community right now, if there isn't anything directly kind of moving you straight to something in your community, I would recommend retreats, workshops, things where, you're going to where they're being held. I would do that. Absolutely. Because then you're also connecting in person, which is always great, with people that are in the same like-minded space as you and that are probably going to be living all over the world. But, we're connected through, unfortunately or fortunately, there's pros and cons to it, but we're more connected now through the web, the World Wide Web, than we are physically sometimes.
Yes, absolutely. So, that was my saving grace in 1997 after I had my near-death experience, and I was just channeling all this information, and nobody around me would have had any clue what I was talking about in 97. And that's when AOL, America Online, on the computer, I was like, oh my gosh. And I met people from around the world. It was sort of like I was synchronistically or divinely guided to meet with other people who knew what the heck I was talking about. So that's how that became my family. And now, all of you out there, I consider you my soul family, because like Lorie said, it can be a little bit lonely, and the majority of people would not be interested in these conversations. And I remember, Lorie, about a week ago, this man in my community who knows me but didn't know of my work listened and it seemed to be very threatened and upset and said, you guys have no proof of this and blah, 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 blah. And I said, you're right. I said, although there are some very progressive scientists like Bruce Lipton and a lot of these who have transitioned into this progressive realm, but it's not for everybody. And it does require a lot of self-confidence. I mean, to do this, I mean, and a lot of, you open yourself up to a lot of ridicule, which I don't care about. You have to not care about it. And these are what way showers in any part of history, that's what you're here to do, is to bring about change and progress. And that's why we have this community and we do these shows, so that we all get to feel like, yes, we're all connected and we do have family. We have our family here on Earth, and then like Lorie, what we're talking about here is we also have our galactic family. And there's so much reassurance in that when you really open up to that. And like Lorie said, if you don't see them or feel them at first, just open up. It's a frequency thing. It's and as you expand that, you will feel and hear more. It's all about frequency. And Lorie, I know you talk about that a lot as well. And so many people are writing in about how they love you, the way that you explain things. It's I mean, there's so
elementary.
Many well, no, but it simplifies everything in a very, okay, Kirsten said that was the most authentic and practical advice on connecting just a little while ago that I've ever heard. I love Lorie's humbleness and sincerity. It moves me to tears. Thank you, Kirsten. But it's true. And it's like my daughter, Lorie, as you know, is 23, and she came in remembering everything. Like when she was little, she was like, oh, remember when I was your mom, and remember this lifetime, remember? And this was when she was like 2 or 3 years old. And, and Mommy, did you see the angels that come and get me every night, and then they take me to that tree, and all of these things. But anyway, they get socialized, and then she forgets about that, but she kind of goes back. And anyway, we've been talking about it a lot more now, and I directed her to your YouTube channel because your confidence and your ability to explain things in a way that really brings relief and understanding to people is so reassuring. So I wanted to pass that along. And
that's so awesome. I love that. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, it's interesting what happens to us when we come in with a lot of, especially the new people, the new beings that drop in. You remember so much, and then we just get programmed because of the density of the consciousness. But really quickly, Carrie, these beings also want to remind all of us that it's not just they are not just outside of us. They're the beings that are guiding us are families of light, are families of light that are not human families. We came from that consciousness, and we dropped in with that consciousness. So there's an aspect of us inside of us that holds that same frequency. So it's also within us, right? They just wanted me to kind of point that out. It's both in us and outside, right?
Yes, definitely. I would love to take some live callers. We have hands up, lots of hands up, and allow a few people to ask you their personal questions. *2 to raise your hand if you have a question for Lorie. And are you okay with that, Lorie?
Yes. Please.
Okay.
Bring them in.
All right, let's bring it on here. Okay. Our first caller, live caller that I'm going to is area code, 419. 419, you're live.
Hi, this is Erica. Can you hear me?
Hi, Erica. We can. How are you?
Okay. Oh, wow. Thank you for taking my call. Thank both of you. Lorie, I love all of the YouTubes you put on. You can be so helpful to us. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you. You're so welcome. Do you have a question?
Well, I don't know if it's an Ascension symptom. I'm having this, stomach discomfort. And I was just wondering if you tap into that kind of thing?
Yeah, you're not the first one that said this in the last couple of days. A couple other people have reached out about intestinal stuff that's going on. So it could be a couple different things. Has it been happening for a while or just recent?
It's just recent, but it sort of comes and goes for me. It was good for months, but I had it a while ago. So I didn't know if it's, emotion kind of thing. It's that I try to do good with my diet, but I don't want to be on a strict diet.
Yeah, it's not your diet. there's an aspect of you that knows what it is also. So trusting that intuition is a key piece for you right now. And allowing yourself to soften to what you know you're hearing and what you're receiving. So it is emotional density or emotional consciousness from past experiences that happened at some other point. What happens when the consciousness starts to kind of move through the physical form is it can nestle in or settle in down in those lower energy centers. And so it's emotion that is processing or moving through you. And as it's doing that, it's creating physical symptoms. There's probably an aspect, you're pretty intuitive, even though you deny a lot of what you hear. A lot of us do that. Can you begin to settle into the knowingnesses that you know? Okay, so it's almost like you know something, and then you just say, no, it's not, no, that can't, nope, right? And then you go on you kind of stay in the program. And it's safer to kind of stay in the program, right? But you actually know a lot more than you're not only not giving yourself credit for, but allowing yourself to be in and receive. So I would suggest starting to, and this is less about the stomach and more about you opening to what you're hearing and receiving. And can you soften to that more and allow yourself to trust you? Can you trust you? Can you trust you? You know, the first thing you said was, I don't know if it's an emotional thing. Well, it is an emotional thing. And you did know that it was an emotional thing. But the programming that we're kind of held in is like, oh, it's got to be diet. It's got to be gluten. And it's got to be, sugars or, right? But there was an aspect of you that knew. Okay? So soften to who you are a little bit more. Know that you actually are a very intuitive being that can hear and bring in information from a higher self and all the beautiful beings that are around you. And navigating that ability is not easy, right? Because there's nobody around you saying, you got it, keep going. There's no one else that holds up. No one holds up a flag that says, bingo, keep going, right? You kind of just have to just trust. You have nobody else to turn to but you. And you're the only one that can trust you. And so it comes down to choice. You have a choice to either believe what you kind of know to be truth or not. And why not believe it?
Exactly. So, Erica, does that resonate with you?
Oh, yeah. It's keeping the doubts at bay,
Absolutely.
The doubts are just, they're so strong, such a habit.
Yes, well, you know so much, Erica. I hope that this will inspire you to trust in your intuition and and follow that. Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Erica.
Thank you,
Blessings
Erica.
to you. Okay, here we go. We're moving on to area code 805. 805.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you so much, both of you. And I've had a session with you, Lorie, that was very beneficial. But what happened is that I got involved with the 5G thing. And now it's like I'm developing a whole thing for the community. Like I have a lot of educational stuff to put out there. And I had my doubts if I should go through with this. I was going to try to inspire them and empower them to not go along with the 5G. They've already put cell towers up in our area. And I'm thinking that this could be stopped if they're empowered and they actually have the courage to stand up as a group and say no. Now, do you get that that's correct? Or should I just cool it and let nature take its course?
Well, what I'm receiving from, what's your name?
Audrey.
Audrey. Okay. Hello, Audrey. So what I'm receiving is how are you resonating with it? Are you exhausted? Are you feeling like you're doing this for, what's your resonance around it? So how are you?
Yes. I'm very energized and excited about it. But I realized how it's a big responsibility because I have to watch my words so carefully because people are easily, you know, that type of thing. And I wanted to have the guidance of my star family so that this is done correctly and beautifully. So I don't know if I'm into an area where I...
So this is more about, am I going in the right direction or not? Or
yes.
So if this is a resonance and you're feeling pulled energetically to this, then this is the direction that you're choosing to go into, right? If there's resonance is there and you're feeling energized and energetic and you're being pulled in that direction, then it's great. I think the hesitation is, am I doing it the right way? Am I not kind of throwing my own belief around it, right? How neutral can I be as I guide the humans through this process? So it becomes finding yourself in a more neutral space so that it's not about you and your intentions and your agenda, right? It's a bigger agenda or a bigger kind of platform that you're moving through. And so you want to be in a more neutral place. And so if you can tap into the guides that are surrounding you, you'll be able to feel more of that neutrality. So begin to, and I'm sure they told you this in the session, but begin to invite them into your space over, and what does that mean, invite them into your space? And this is for everyone, right? This is one of the little tiny tips we can do. You know, I'm calling the beings of light I'm calling the Pleiadians into my room. I'm calling the Pleiadians into my car. I'm calling the Pleiadians into my bathroom. I'm calling the Pleiadians into my shower. Now, they're already there, okay? When you call them in, you are reminding yourself, because we're third-dimensional humans right now, we're reminding ourselves that we have these beings. And then it becomes you quieting your ego because you have a little bit of an agenda type of, this is not bad or good, okay? This is just your personality. There is a drive, right? So it's like, get out of my way. This is what I'm doing. And I'm gonna do it this way, and everyone's gonna have to listen to it like this. And there's an aspect of you that knows that you can't do that with this.
That's right.
And so that's why you're looking for the guidance. You're looking for that guidance so that your ego doesn't drive this time. Your higher self drives it this time, so it can be successful because you're actually working with higher dimensional frequencies as you're doing this. So start calling them in and start paying attention to the difference between your higher self and your ego right now, because you are comfortable listening to the ego, okay, and that voice, and you need to start to listen to your higher self more. The higher self is what's going to drive this successfully. Mm-hmm. The higher self doesn't move in duality. The higher self moves in neutrality. There's no right or wrong.
That's right. That is interesting because that's what I'm trying to do. That came out in my journal writing, to be neutral. I'm really trying to be neutral. I understand the ego investment and all that, and I don't want it to be that way. But it's a huge responsibility, you know, and I thank you so much for your input.
Thank you, Audrey.
Keep following the neutrality piece and diving into that more. The huge responsibility, that's the ego. The higher self wouldn't say that. So the higher self would say, you're completely taken care of and guided, you're going to be fine, right? So start to get real clear and acutely conscious of the voices.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Audrey, thank you so much for your question and for being with
Audrey.
us. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, Audrey, blessings to you, sweetie. Sorry, I put you on mute too soon. Lots of love to you, Audrey. There are a lot of interesting, beautiful questions in the webcast I want to go to that might summarize things for some people. Okay, so Jill from London wrote in and said, what dimension are the Syrians, and is there a hierarchy of galactic beings? Like, are there angels on a higher dimension, or how does this work, please?
Ooh, I love this question.
I think it's a great question.
It's a great question. There's no hierarchy in terms of better or you know, better than, right? There's just dimensional spend, so frequency. So energy spends, and when that energy spends, it creates a vibration. That vibration creates a frequency, and the frequency is what tells you the dimension. And that's all it is, really. It's the biggest picture. And based on that signature, that dimensional signature will tell you what you're going to experience. So in a third dimensional signature, you're going to experience a hell of a lot of duality. In a fifth dimensional signature or dimension, there is no duality. You're going to experience neutrality and oneness and unity, but you're still going to have form. And as you start moving into higher dimensions, the consciousness begins to, the amount of consciousness that you can experience kind of decreases. So there's more of an expansion in terms of like these what a human would call emotions, but there's less of all the other crap that you experience in lower dimensions. So with Sirians, so this is with Sirians, with Palladians, with Arcturians, they are not just one dimension. So the Palladians are not just a ninth dimension, right? There's a collective of dimensional experiences. So typically a Sirian will range between ninth and an 11th or 12th, usually a ninth to an 11th dimension. So when you move into the Sirian collective, imagine it like a cloud, okay? This is just the way that the human can kind of conceptualize a collective star system. Imagine it like a cloud. And if you were to jump into that cloud, the human calls it Sirian. But within that Sirian collective, there's all these other collectives inside of there experiencing this consciousness, but either at a little bit lower rate or a little bit higher rate, right? Kind of like the human experience. Very similar, actually, but quite different. So there's many different, when a system comes in like a Palladian system, Palladians can vibrate between a sixth and a ninth, typically. Now, you know, there could be other people, humans, that experience them at different dimensions, and that's beautiful. This is just my experience of them. I've rarely interacted with a collective that is only one dimension. It's very rare from my experience. But they don't range they don't go from it's not like you would find a Palladian that's going from a 6 to a 12. It's very rare. They stay in a small range for the most part, from my experience. So I'm not an expert. I could be completely wrong.
No, I resonate with what you're sharing.
Yeah. So, and again, the way you can, as you start to experience, especially with these recordings, which is why they're so exciting, is you'll start to recognize that when you tap into the inner, you take away the name of the being, right, and what everybody has portrayed them to look like, and you just tap into the energy of them. You start to feel emotions. You start to feel experiences. You start to feel like a masculine or a feminine. You start to feel like, oh, there's more of like a grandma feeling, right? Or, oh, this is more of like a teacher kind of feeling, like get to work, do your stuff. So the Sirians have that very you know, you're here, you need to do this, let's go, let's get their workhorses, sort of, you know. It's like they are here to serve, and the fastest and quickest way to serve, we're going to serve. Whereas the Palladians, it's kind of like, you're the greatest thing that ever existed.
We love you so much.
No wrong. We love you so much. Just hang out and chill, eat your pizza, and it's all going to be okay. You know what I mean? And so, and then there's the Arcturians that are just like really fun, technical, gadget type of beings that are assisting us in learning how to work. Yeah. And they kind of will download a lot of different tools and techniques, but they're very funny and they're very jovial and they like to play with the humans a lot. So it's less about you know, we get caught up in oh, this is what they look like and this is what, you know, and it's way more about the energy, because honestly, when you move into higher dimensions, there's no form. Their form doesn't exist in higher dimensional frequencies. So they'll shapeshift. The Sirians love to shapeshift. And the Arcturians will shapeshift. Palladians are in a low enough dimension that if they're in a 6th or 7th dimension, you can sort of start to feel them. Or if they move themselves down. You know, just like us, just like how we can increase our frequency, these beings can slow their frequency down in order to connect with us. And a lot of humans, when they do connect with these beings, it's because these beings have slowed their frequency down. An 8th dimensional being didn't just drop their 8th dimensionality into a 3rd dimensional field. it's very rare. It slows. The energy has to slow down in order for that energy to move into the sense of a consciousness. Mm-hmm. And when you slow down, you become more of a form.
Yes, and I love that question because it kind of summarized a lot of the questions, and I want to go back to a few of them, but I want to really highlight your offer right now because we're talking about it anyway, and it's called Journey into the Stars, and you can find it at straighttalkforthesoul.com in our marketplace, and you'll see Lorie's beautiful shining face. Click on it, and the offer is something that she has not offered here before, and as she mentioned, it's journeys, with the Sirians, the Arcturians, the Cassiopeia star system, the Palladians, the Blue Avians, the guided journey to meet your star family, and the star activation chamber. And these are recorded journeys that you can take. Someone asked an interesting question. I'm going to let you talk about this, but and asked, is it safe to do these journeys on our own? And I know what my answer would be, but what is your answer, Lorie?
Yeah, so there's definitely beliefs and legitimate beliefs from a lot of different human experiences that I'm assuming this is where they're going with the question. Mm-hmm. I could be completely wrong, but there's definitely a lot of beliefs and programming that if you open yourself up and sort of move into this space with these beings, that there's going to be other types of beings that don't have your highest good that may kind of intercede or, come in or something. And that's not the case. That's not the case with anything that I do in my work. It's not the case with these beings. It's not the intention of these recordings. And so, when you hold the intention of what these recordings are designed to do, and in terms of working with these beings, when you hold the intention of what you're doing, that you are pulling in the beautiful beings of light that are here to serve and assist you and guide you, then that's what's going to occur. If you have any sort of inclination or opening to something else happening, then it's possible that can happen. You're a creator being. You have free will, right? So you have to be careful of your intention and even your beliefs, right? Especially your beliefs. But these recordings, you are held in such a safe container. You are surrounded by so much potent, high-frequency light that nothing infiltrates it, nothing penetrates it, unless you say, oh, I'd like to have something crazy come in and infiltrate it, then maybe it'll happen. Even then, I would find it hard to believe that these beings would allow that. But
these are designed for healing and expansion and love, and that's exactly what you're going to feel.
Oh, yeah.
I listened to part of one before we went live, and it's going to put you into a space, and I didn't have time. I didn't want to go into too deep of a meditative space right before we went live earlier, but you will feel the love and you will feel the connection, and that's what they're designed for. And what do you want to say about the different journeys that you included here? The journey to meet your star family, that's a beautiful one because, they can do all of the individual ones, but that one they can really go in, and it's going to be a unique experience for everyone, right?
It's a unique experience for everyone. And here's the thing about these recordings. They are recorded, but it's in the now moment. So when you're in the now moment with the energy, with my voice, with these beings, it's happening in that moment. And so each time you do the recording or the journey, you're experiencing it as if it's real, it's happening, right? You're in that space with them. And so the journey to go meet the star family is a journey where you're taken into telos through my voice, and it's I think I also speak about being able to just stay straight in your body and not go anywhere if you want to, because these beings will come to you. I can't remember, but I think that's what happened as well. So you either can go into telos, or you can just stay exactly where you are in your room. But the design and the intent, again, it's all about intention, is for the person listening to connect to the beings of light that are surrounding them, supporting them, trying to communicate with them. And so the less kind of expectation you can have when you go in there, the easier it will be to start to feel the energies and start to listen to what you may be hearing, because they come in loud, they come in strong.
And trust it. And trust it.
Yeah,
please trust your intuition. Yeah. You'll hear the voice, and really trust it. And when it feels good and it comes through, trust it. Right, Lorie?
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm really excited because they, the ones that came through to do these individual ones, they came through for a reason. And the Syrians came in, and the Cassiopeia system came in, which I was really surprised about. But it was a really beautiful journey that they took me on, and that they're going to take all of you on, because they brought us into source consciousness, the spark of God within us, which I wasn't expecting. And not only do you experience these beings and you get to feel what a Cassiopeia light being feels like, whether you consciously, intellectually understand it or not, but they guide us straight into our light, into our physical form, and through the physical form and into this kind of God spark source consciousness. And it's pretty powerful. They take a lot of pressure off the human experience. It gives us a little bit bigger picture of really what's going on, and that we're not just what we're walking through every day.
I was just going to say, all of these recordings, I mean, they're, between 45 minutes and an hour long, each of them, although the guided journey to meet your star family is 70 minutes. The star activation chamber one is 70 minutes. So there's a lot here. And the star activation chamber one, someone was asking in the webcast, is that designed for healing the body?
Yeah. So it's a light activation, basically what they bring us through. And so any high frequency light activation will quote unquote heal. All healing is just pushing through denser consciousness. So again, what's the intention? So if you have an intention, regardless of what the kind of description says, right? If you have an intention, let's just say for the star activation of, like, I think it was Diane that had the stomach stuff, right? My intention in going into this recording is that I am going to move through some of the denser consciousness within my gut or within my intestines, right? You're holding that intention, regardless of what may or may not be kind of experienced in the session, meaning regardless of what I'm kind of guiding you through. If you have your own intention, the beings of light around you know what your intention is, and you go in there with that intention, that is what will occur. Right? So you can do that with any of the recordings, and it'll happen.
Absolutely.
So the star activation is a powerful light frequency that is moved through the entire physical, emotional, and mental body, activating you and actually increasing your vibration and frequency, but not where you're going to step out of it and like hold that frequency as you're walking around. I mean, your body is going to go back to its kind of set point. But in that moment, it'll stir things around, right? Shift things, move things.
Well, and then it opens you up so that you are in a higher vibrational state more often. The more you listen to things like this, the more your frequency rises, your vibration, everything expands. And so you start to experience a different reality more and more often, a better one that feels better and feels more connected. And so doing these, you're going to experience something different each time, but it does raise your vibration, which I loved what you just said, and I forgot exactly how you described it, but that healing was just, what did you say? It was, I forget how you phrased it, but it was beautifully phrased. If anyone remembers, write it in. It was something about just kind of, I forgot, but it was simplified so beautifully about what healing really is. And let me see if someone's going to write that in, if they heard you. If someone heard that, write it in. But anyway, all of these are designed to uplift you and heal you and expand you in such beautiful ways. And it'll remind you of how loved you are. Yeah, go ahead, sweetie.
And what it does is it teaches you more and more how to feel energy. So we're learning over and over and over again that we're energetic beings, that we've got this energetic field around us, and we walk out into the world, we are navigating it through energy more than the mind and the ego, right? And so when you move into these journeys, you are only accessing it through energy. You're not accessing it through your thoughts, through your mind. There's nothing you're doing. There's no step-by-step, do this, do that, nothing, none of that, right? It's all learning energy. And so it's opening you up to understanding how to navigate energy more, feel higher frequencies more. What does it feel like? Oh, my fingers are tingling, my hands are tingling, my palms are tingling, that kind of a thing, you know. That's what we're learning, is how to do that.
Yes.
How to remember how to do that.
It's cultivating energetic trust. And that is truly the key to all of this.
That's so good.
Oh, Jill just wrote back in. She said that you said, which is what I wanted, healing is just pushing through consciousness. It's pushing through the barriers or yes. So thank you, Jill. It was pushing through the density, I think it was. Pushing through the density of consciousness. And that's what it really is, because any sort of healing that needs to take place is because there's dense energy that is blocking the flow of some organ in your body. I mean, it's blocking the flow of light. So as you push through that density, you heal. And that's what all of these are designed to do. And specifically, like Lorie said, when you intend for that. So, Jill, thank you. Oh, and there's like 10 people now who've written in. Yeah, healing is moving through dense energy in that part of your body, bringing light to denser frequencies, pushing through. Yes, thank you guys.
That's awesome.
We're all doing this together.
And when you frame it in that way, it just reframes healing, right?
It does.
For healing is no longer judgment.
No, we all have density, but density can be cleared, and then energy can flow again, and then that's when you feel revitalized, and physically, emotionally, spiritually, and that's why anybody can heal.
Absolutely,
anybody can heal, and that's why all of things like this that. All of these recordings are designed to raise your frequency so that density can disintegrate and light can come through. So please take advantage of this. Lorie, thank you for creating this offer, and I hope that many people benefit from it. And
those beings are excited, so jump on in with them. Hang on.
Play and participate.
Play with them. Yeah. They're ready.
Yes. Okay. There's so many people who've written in. A lot of people really, Joanna, loving this call. It's like a big heart hug. She said, I'm also looking for my tribe. I'm blessed to have a twin who is much like me and a wonderful friend that's open. But Joanna said, today is my birthday, and this is what I want to do, to be with you, Carrie, and your guest, Lorie, loving your love with each other. Well, we love you. Happy birthday, Joanna.
Happy birthday.
Yes. Rosa Maria, I'm so enjoying this conversation. Let's see. Yeah, feeling weird around my neighborhood and community. I don't have a lot of people to talk to about this. She said, I wish my Pleiadian star family would send me a message in a mild way, like maybe in a dream. But she said, maybe I'm not ready yet. Or maybe I'm frightened. Or what is she? No. She said, thank you, love you both. Okay, what do you say to that?
Yeah. Well, that's a really normal kind of place that people go is I'm not ready yet, or I can't do it yet, or there must be something that's blocking me. And that's typically not the case. The case is that, usually, it's just a learning process, right? So it's a conscious awareness of what's happening, what's going on, and remembering and learning the whole thing. So it's instead of saying because if you ask for a sign of some sort, especially if you do it pretty directly, like you said in a dream, it'll happen. But what happens with the human is the ego is going to attach to that and say, okay, where's the dream? When's the dream? Why did the dream happen? When's the dream going to happen? I guess I'm not ready yet. The ego is going to just control it, right? And so one of the ways to kind of receive whatever kind of hint or clue or message that these beings are trying to give to you is to let go of any expectation or control. Like literally just let go. Just be like, I don't care, whatever. If it comes, it comes. If it doesn't, it doesn't, blah, blah, blah. It's not about me. It's not about that I'm not ready. It's about when. I'm so excited. I can't wait. When's this sign going to come in? I'm so excited. I can't wait. They are absolutely giving me a sign. I can't wait until it comes. You shift the way you are framing all of it.
Yes.
Shift it.
Yes. Rosa Maria, I hope you're still there. Linda, you wrote in and said the PayPal site isn't working. Tried to, I've heard that since yesterday. We're working on that. It's actually PayPal. I think if they're working to resolve this, but I think there's another option there, and that one is working from what my team has told me. But we're on this, and we will make sure that. So there's one way that it is working, just so you know, Linda. Okay, let's see. I wanted to ask, let's see, where did his question go? Andrew from Washington, D.C. He said, I think for many way showers that I know, it's about getting more support in the 3D because so many have a hard time manifesting, especially. They hear a lot about it's coming. So basically he's saying, as way showers, how can we better articulate faith and trust when the 3D, is pushing against that faith and trust?
Well,
Does that make sense?
You have to be, it makes sense. It's all about, this seems to be like the theme of what's coming in right now, is reframing what's going on. So if you are walking about in your day and you're aware of the fact that you're in a dense consciousness that's sort of making it more difficult or pushing back, that's going to be your experience. So we have to start to get very, very present, and the more present, I know this is what, all the spiritual teachers say, but it actually is real. The more present we can get in every single now moment, even in our busiest of days, the more present we can get, the more we step out of the dense matrix that we find ourselves in. The more present we can get, the more we feel. The more present that we get, the less judgment we have. The more present we can get, the less you find yourself in duality. It's almost like a miracle, because you don't realize that it's going to happen until you start doing it. And then when you start doing it, your jaw drops, because you're kind of in shock by the fact that, like, it's that simple. It's really seriously that simple. Present moment is one of the most magical gifts that we have to train ourselves to start to really step out of the programs that we've been held in for so long. Present moment gets you out of it, believe it or not. You would think that, well, if I'm present, then I'm going to be in it even more. Quite the opposite. Mm-hmm. You experience so much more of your own energetic vibration, your own breath, your own sovereignty. When you're present, you are sovereign. And when you're sovereign, it's just your energetic field experiencing everything that's happening outside of you. And so nothing's happening to you, right? You're not a victim to anything. And you sort of get this space of like, oh my God, this is quite easy navigating this. But it takes a while, right? Everything takes practice and baby steps.
I was just going to say that. Practice playing and participating.
Yes. And I forgot his question. I don't even know if I answered it, but I forgot. What was the question?
Andrew's question was about way showers getting support in the 3D, and really cultivating faith and trust, in manifesting.
Present moment. Mm-hmm. Manifestation happens present moment, right? And so when all you're doing with manifestation is recognizing that you are tapping into, we are in a very low vibrational state, right? And so manifestation can take a very long time. When you are at a higher vibrational state, manifestation can happen instantaneously. So first of all, recognize that you're in a lower vibrational state, and manifestation might take some time for you to pull in or actually be in the vibration of that which you are wanting to have or wanting to experience. The more presence you can get in the knowingness that it's already there, you're gonna run into it faster. You're gonna pop right into it quicker. But if you start thinking about, oh, there's something I'm trying to get to, there's something I'm trying to reach, I need to do something with my vibration, I need to do all these things, then you're not present. And it's going to take you longer to get there.
Well, and what he was talking about also was people in the 3D, maybe in your surroundings, who are pushing against your trust and your faith. Well, try to stay away. Try to limit your exposure to a lot of the people who cause you to doubt yourself. And
like that guy you ran into.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It didn't faze me at all. I was just kind of like, okay. But yes, it will happen. And you just keep trusting yourself, and you have to cultivate that. I keep going back to that practice, play, and participate. And your star families and your teams of light will help cultivate that faith and that trust. So many people are writing in, Lorie. Oh my goodness. And Andrew, thank you so much. Did you want to add something?
Great question. Yeah, I did. I want to say one of the other really simple tools that we can use in doing this is constantly reminding yourself that there's a lot of different things you can remind yourself of. One, you can remind yourself that you're a being of light in physical form. If you say that over and over and over again, I promise you, your reality will shift. It won't matter what anyone's saying outside your kind of your physical body, right? And you can also say to yourself, I am a being of light, being supported by galactic beings, being supported by star beings. If you start saying things that are going to shift you out of this matrix, it's easier to be in the matrix. Because you know that you're not.
Oh, yeah, nothing can take you off course. And let's repeat that. I am a being of light, constantly supported by galactic beings, and I always add, of unconditional love and light.
Yes.
And when you consistently repeat, affirm, all of that, you will be validated. Your experience of life will validate that state of consciousness. And it's a pretty magical way to live. You just you continue to validate to yourself the limitless nature of who you are and the limitless support that is around for you. So, Andrew, I hope that was helpful. Rosa Maria said, thank you so much, Lorie, for your answer. Thank you both. Lynn said from Cincinnati, blessings, beautiful light source and teacher. This is my first knowing of your work, and wow, you gifted me beyond words, Lorie. Wow, that's so sweet. She went on, you validate my knowing, sister. Rock on. That's so cool. Jill wrote in from London, said, 1,000 thank yous, Carrie and Lorie, to all of you beautiful ones. The Awakening Alchemy Tribe. I love that.
I like that.
Awakening Alchemy Tribe. I love it. So many beautiful messages flowing through. Lorie, Andrew said thank you both. Thank you, Andrew, for being with us. And I'm glad we touched on the manifestation topic, because that's always a big one around here.
It's huge. It's a huge
one. It's part of living in this reality. And Linda from Palm Springs said, heartfelt thanks, Carrie. You're awesome. This is an incredible show. Lorie is amazing and simplifies the process. I also feel very blessed to be introduced to the Blue Avians, as a multitude of physical challenges are a part of this lifetime for me. Looking forward to the package. Okay, Linda, awesome.
Oh, good. You'll love it.
I'm glad we talked about healing in the way that we did. That felt really significant. It really did. And also at the beginning, really talking about what's really going on right now. And if you're feeling a little overwhelmed or tired or overly sensitive, or all of these things are just intensified, like Lorie mentioned at the beginning, and if you missed the beginning, I'd encourage you to go back and listen, that there are streams of light, solar light, that are coming onto the planet that come at different times in the last few days. Her guides have expressed that there's been some of that happening. So if you've been feeling a little, everything intensified, that's why. So.
Intensified, yeah. It's like it got more intensified or something, you know. And the other great thing is that they want me to remind everyone is bravo for being even more sensitive. Bravo. That's what they were saying yesterday. Like, and I'm like, why are you using the word bravo? That's so annoying as we're going through this. You know, it's like bravo. You're like, there's no bravo about this. Like, bravo. But that's what they kept saying. They kept like that was the word that it came through as is bravo. That the more you are shifting in vibration and frequency, the more intense you're going to feel. The more shifting you're going to feel. The more up and down. The more of it you're going to feel. So bravo. It's almost like the more like intense it is, it's like you're doing it. Your
sensitivity is a gift. Yes.
Yeah, like how exhausted you are. It's like they are just applauding you. They're so proud of you for how many hours of sleep you have. You're like, yes. You know, the stomach aches, awesome. You guys are doing it. Like, you're so amazing. You know, the irritation and the feeling of wanting to like strangle somebody, awesome. Keep going. You're doing it. That's literally how they see this entire process for us. It's like there's no judgment around any of it, right? It's like, it's just like, oh my God, you guys are doing it. You don't even realize you're doing it. You're doing it. Keep going. Bravo.
Mm-hmm. And if you ever doubt yourself, guys, all of you out there, listen to this show, listen to one of these recordings like Lorie's created, and it will kind of center you. It will raise you up. It will fill you with some relief and some peace, and we all need that at times. And that's why we do this. And Lorie, my dear, so as we're going to start wrapping up, what are you feeling you want to share? Any other message that wants to come through?
Yeah, there is one other piece that wants to come through. One tiny piece. They want me to share this. So here it is. What is happening on the earth plane? Many of us understand this whole ascension process, but here's what they want you to really understand. This is an experiment that you have agreed to and volunteered to be a part of, but it is a very unique experience. So when you are being a Palladian or a Sirian or an Octurian or any other consciousness, you are in that consciousness as that consciousness, okay? What they want us to recognize and start to differentiate is Earth is an experiment. So we are not third dimensional. We are not third dimensional consciousness. We are experiencing third dimensional consciousness in a physical form as a higher consciousness being. And it's very different than being a Palladian or being an Octurian or being another collective or being an angelic realm or being a consciousness. We are not third dimensional. We are not fifth dimensional. We are experiencing that consciousness in a physical form as a higher consciousness being in that physical form. And so that's a message. I don't know why, but that's big. To us.
Well, that's a huge thing to really distinguish and realize that we're not 3D. We are experiencing 3D, or we're not all these symptoms or all of these things, you know, we're experiencing them. It's a wave of experience, and we're
even
not that.
Earth, it's an experience, right? Even fifth dimension, isn't it? It's a consciousness we will be experiencing, but we are not it.
Yes, we're so much more. We're so much more. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, guys. Okay. We start doing this a lot, and if you guys want to listen to any of our old shows, they're back there. They're available too. A lot of people have written in, like, I love it when you guys get together. And today's been super fun and very informative, and we never know where it's going to go, and I hope that it was informative and expansive for all of you listening. And Lorie, you know I love my time with you, so it's always you can come every day.
I know. So can I just drop in once a week and just just join in. It'd be so fun.
Yes, yes, yes. So, Lorie, my dear, thank you. I love you. And to everybody, well, I'll let you say goodbye to them and then I'll wrap up.
Yeah. First of all, thank you, Carrie, for just continuing to just keep going at it and serving humanity the way you have. It's really, it's just, thank goodness for you. And then all you beautiful beings out there on the replay and on the radio show right now, you're doing it. You're okay. You are so, so, so deeply loved, no matter what you're experiencing, no matter what you're going through, no matter what up and down, no matter how unaligned or disconnected you feel, you're doing it. You know how this works. You're just remembering it. You know how this works. You remember. You're not dropped off on a foreign land trying to figure it out, although it feels that way. You're remembering more and more and more. Trust what you hear. Trust what you feel. Trust what you know. Trust that you're not alone in this. And you're doing it, no matter what judgments you have. And remember, it's just an experience.
This is all an experience. And hopefully you all remember that now. I mean, I love what this show does. It helps us remember, and that brings us relief. Remembrance brings relief to the soul, and what better feeling, and we all need that. So thank you for the remembrance, the relief, and all of you go out there and practice and play and participate. I don't know why I'm having so much fun with the 3P words, but but I am. So Lorie, thank you, and to everybody, thank you so much for the gift of your time, your love, your openness, your courage, your presence today. How did you feel about today's show? Let us know. Many of you have already written in. We welcome your comments and your feedback in the webcast Q&A box. Thank you for joining Lorie and myself on another soulful adventure today. Please give yourself the gift of journeying into the stars, meeting your star family, experiencing a star, this an activation in that star activation chamber for healing or whatever it is that you intend for in Lorie's beautiful offer that she has created for this community. And that's it, guys. I'm sending waves and waves of love and light and joy and appreciation from my heart to yours. May you feel it, receive it, offer it to those you encounter today or tonight, wherever you happen to be in the world. And until next time, as always, please give yourself full permission to shine instead of shrink, express instead of suppress, and own that amazing, powerful glow of yours. I'll see you back here in this playground of light very soon. Bye-bye.